Alright guys, so Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2 just released today or yesterday, depending on when this video comes out, and this will be a review of that game, and I will not say the entire title of this game ever again, because it is way too long. So if you don't know what the Sniper Ghost Warrior series is, there's 3 primary games, and they work like a sniper elite or just a modern day Assassin's Creed type game. And then there is these Sniper Ghost Warrior contract games. This is the second one. And essentially what this does is not really a story or any large structure to it. It's essentially, here are a couple of missions with enemies, guys to kill, outposts, clear them out, snipe people, have fun. You don't need a story or writing or any of that stuff. Just kill people for fun. It's essentially what these are. And while there is a story here, it's not anything significant. Like I said, for the most part, it's go here and kill this person, go here and kill this person, over and over. And so if this doesn't sound fun or you don't like the Hitman games, then really you're not going to enjoy this, right? Like I said, there's no overarching story, there's no mystery or anything. You're just going from location to location, sniping people and blowing their heads off. So if that doesn't sound fun, you don't enjoy just the fun of killing your targets in games like this, then you probably won't enjoy that game. But with that out of the way, go ahead and go through some of the minor things we need to talk about, and then we'll get into the gameplay. So this is how the quote-unquote story is structured, right? It has these Hitman kind of pre-Call of Duty style cutscenes where there's not really characters or people talking all that much. It's just these cinematics where they tell you, oh yeah, this guy did this is why he's bad, go kill him, right? And so these are okay, again, on level with Hitman cinematics. They're nothing great, but they get the job done, get you to play the level and kill the guy you're going after. Now I want to talk bugs. I like to talk about bugs and things that are broken in the game early on, just so that, you watch the video, that's the first thing you're going to see and hear about. These are the primary concerns you're going to have, right? Now, I played on the Series X, enhanced version of the game. I can't speak for how this runs on PC or PlayStation or a PS4 or Xbox One, but on the Series X, on the enhanced version, the frame rate does have problems, especially if you turn very fast. And I'm not talking as bad as Cyberpunk in like the teens, but it'll definitely drop into the 20s at some parts, and I think a lot of that has to do with map size. On a lot of the smaller maps, it's definitely not as noticeable as on the really large maps. But aside from that, I really didn't have a problem with graphics or bugs or anything like that. The game doesn't look amazing, it doesn't look next-gen, it looks good, and that's what it's supposed to do. It is $40, so keep that in mind. It's not a full $60 game, so when you're playing through, trying to, value your money and the amount of hours it's going to take, it's a $40 game, it's not full price. And let's talk about that amount of time played. And so I believe there's about 6 levels in the game in total, if that's how you want to count it. Again, it is like Hitman, and I'm going to keep comparing it to Hitman because it has those challenges, right? You can go through and take out the targets, but that's just one way to do it. There's challenges, kill them with explosives, kill them by accident, get a collateral, do it all these different types of ways to let you play the level over and over and over. So what do those levels actually consist of? So the way I look at it, it's split into 3 core gameplay mechanics. So what I have hovered over here is a long shot contract. The way these work, these are the big open levels, right? Essentially, you have point A, B, and C, or 3 targets, for example. Let's say there might be more, there might be less. And you have to get to these points to be able to snipe out to the target area. Now, one thing I want to say to get off the bat right away is these target areas on these long shot missions, they try to make the levels seem bigger than they are because they put the targets really far away, and I'm talking over a kilometer away. Now, you can't actually go that far. There's always some barriers stopping you from being able to traverse that distance, but that's how far you can see and shoot. And so that's your primary objective on these long shot missions. Now, within the long shot missions, while going from point A to B to C, you have, like you see here, bounties that can pop up, outposts with enemies that you can sneak around, search around for collectibles and intel, stuff like that, gain money to upgrade your weapons and stash and stuff like that. So there's your long shot levels that both consist of the really long sniper gameplay along with this closer range type of, outposts and just smaller installment of enemies gameplay, right? Then you have levels like the one you're seeing here that I believe are called classic levels, and the way they work is you just have multiple close range objectives. You go in, it's very stealthy, Hitman type, You don't have to kill anybody, you just go press a button, deactivate some things, maybe take out a target, but there's no long-range sniping. And while you can do that, you can engage from probably 200 meters at max on some of these levels. It's mainly meant for this close quarters combat. So the main question, right, it's a Sniper Ghost Warrior game. You know, you're most likely here for the sniping. How are the long-range sniping scenarios? So the game really throws you in the deep end in the beginning. You'd think they put you on one of these classic type levels where you're really close to enemies, 200 meters at max, let you get used to the drop and the wind and all of that stuff, where to shoot, the different types of weapons, all that good stuff, how stealth works. They don't do that. They throw you right in at 1,000 meters away on the first level. And so if you don't have any familiarity with bullet drop and wind direction and all of that stuff, then this game is going to be a challenge right off the bat. They don't escalate the difficulty, at least from a low skill level to a high skill level. They just start right up there at the top. And there are difficulties. There's easy, normal, veteran, and marksman, or whatever their hard difficulty is. And this is on normal, so it doesn't give you a red dot, which if you're playing on the easiest difficulty, it just tells you exactly where to aim. But on the difficulty I chose to play on, it tells you the elevation once you've marked them and the wind direction, and they give you the little mill dots on your scope for corresponding wind direction, so you just line up the height in the wind direction and take your shot. Now, like I said, if you're not into this, the gameplay you're seeing right now, this is a majority of the game. You are very far away. I, for the most part, think it works really well. I only have a few problems with it. So one, if you shoot near an enemy, or they see an enemy fall or die, or you shoot an explosive barrel or something, to anything to alert the enemies, even though you are over 1,000 meters away, they instantaneously know where you are. All they have are these little guns. They don't even have sights on their guns. They can not have a sniper, not have a sentry gun or some turret to spot you. If you shoot and you alert them in any way, they instantly know exactly where you are, even if you're an insane distance away. Another problem I have is the way they choose to do, I guess, silencer or suppressor stealth, if that's how you want to call it. So only certain weapons that you can unlock come with suppressors and silencers and all of that stuff. And so my problem with this is that you think, oh, well, I better use a weapon with the suppressor and that'll be my trade-off for damage or range or whatever. That's not how it exactly works. So from as far as I can tell, the way it's set up is any of these long-range scenarios, anything where you're more than 200 meters away from the enemies, you don't need a suppressor. As long as they don't see the enemy, or you don't miss, or you don't blow something up, they can't hear the shot, even if you're 700 meters away, which I think is kind of stupid. I'd prefer you having to use a suppressor, because this just allows you to use the Barrett, which is insanely loud but insanely powerful, and if they forced you to choose between a suppressor or a more powerful gun, I think that would make the customization and all of that a bit more worthwhile. So let's talk about that customization a little bit. So it's split up essentially into two menus. You have your loadout menu, where you buy new guns and primaries, secondaries, pistols, all types of equipment, stuff like that, customized. Then you have your skill tree. Your skill tree, it's a typical skill tree. You have your mask and recon, support and stealth, drone, turret, equipment, gadgets, and then a couple of points here and there on each tree to spend. And so depending on the mission, except for the first two, I believe they force you to use a certain loadout. After that, they let you choose your loadout. There's a couple of guns to choose from, and then different guns have varying attachments, different size scopes. Some have muzzle brakes instead of suppressors. Some, have hybrid sights on the sniper rifles, so you can use them at close range. There's all types of SMGs, pistols, bow and arrows, all types of good stuff. And then you have gadgets like grenades. You have the drone, which you can upgrade to use poison darts to lure people. There's trip mine decoys, all your typical gadgets in a game like this. So like I said, the customization isn't quite really there. There's pretty much no point, in my opinion, to buy a new gun other than what they give you. You can't do any more damage to specific enemy types. The juggernauts still take, a number of shots to the head, or armor piercing, or explosive rounds, and for the most part you're going to be shooting people in the head anyway, so it's not really going to matter how much damage you're doing or if you're suppressed or anything like that. Unless you want to do one of those classic missions like run and gun and stuff like that, then you can use one of those lower damage, higher fire rate types of weapons. But for the most part, for these long range shots, it's really not going to matter what gun you use. So something I want to talk about are the takedowns. And typically, I wouldn't even bother discussing something like this in a review because they're typically throwaway type things. They do what they're supposed to, and that's about it. For some reason, takedowns in this game look really good. And I don't know if it's because on those bigger levels, like I said earlier, the frame rate's just struggling and there's no struggle on these takedowns with the frame rate. But I don't know if it's the slow motion or the slight motion blur they add to it. But I really like the takedowns in this game, right? You see these types of takedowns in trailers, especially in the trailer for the last one of these games I played, Sniper Ghost Warrior 3, and this just isn't how they look in game. But here, they look really well, they're smooth, there's enough different ones that they don't get boring where you can do them over and over again, and that's probably, obviously, aside from the sniping, my favorite part of the game. That being said, how long is the game? How long is this game going to take you? And obviously that depends on what difficulty you're playing on, if you're getting collectibles, if you're just going loud, if you're trying to play it completely silent, if you're doing every single challenge. There's a whole bunch of variables. It's like with a Hitman game, right? You can beat Hitman and probably hit the number of hours there are levels, right? And that's probably what I would say is the same situation here. There's 6 levels. If you play this a certain way, you can probably beat it in 6 hours, just running and gunning, going through it insanely fast. But playing, I would say, on a medium difficulty, how most people would play, or trying to play stealthily and getting some collectibles here and there, and trying to take these really hard, really long shots, it's going to take you significantly longer than that. Like I said, it really does depend on what difficulty you're playing on, your skill level, and all of that stuff. But if I had to give you an estimation, I would say each level takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So you're looking at around 12 hours, again, depending on what difficulty you play on and all of that stuff. So 12-ish hours, and that's for your first run through, just beating the missions, not getting every collectible and doing all of the challenges and unlocking every single weapon, skill tree perk, and all of that stuff. So again, like Hitman, there's a lot more you can do. You can spend a lot of time here. As long as you enjoy the sniping and the collateralizing and distracting and all of that stuff, if you enjoy that type of gameplay, you'll like this game. And so, what score are we going to give Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2? I've said it twice now, twice more than I've ever wanted to say it. And so, putting this game on a ranking is kind of difficult for me because I have a love-hate relationship with the only one of this series that I've played, the third one. I think it has a lot of good ideas, but just doesn't execute them well. I think this game is the exact opposite. It executes everything it does, other than the frame rate and certain levels, really well, but it doesn't bring anything new, right? You've seen this all before. You've played Wildlands, Hitman, elements of Metal Gear Solid with interrogation here and there, stuff like that. You're not going to do anything new or original that you haven't done in another game in this game. But what it does do, it does really well, it looks good, and it's fun. So I think a fair score for that is a 7 out of 10. A good. This game is good. I would say if you like sniping, it's worth $40. If not, wait for the price to drop. I'm sure it'll be $20 within the next couple of months. Pick it up. But you guys let me know what you think down in the comments below. And I hope you enjoyed this one.